Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling, September 7th, in which we are going to be discussing probably the most anticipated AEW Dynamite of all time. The last couple of days in pro wrestling has been absolutely nuts. I know that for the most part, a lot of us have, I know I have sort of been consumed by the pro wrestling world, especially with all the events that unfolded in AEW and just everything that has come about since then. We are going to talk about the scrum. We are going to talk about the drama. We are going to talk about the reports. We are going to talk about what happened here today. There's so much to cover, everyone, so we're going to try to get through it all, at least most of what we can, the major things, definitely. Before we get started, everyone, just a heads up, this is a very interactive stream. We do have a moderator in the chat, so play fair and we'll have a good time and it'll be a great time. On top of that, if you want to help support the show and keep me funded and also get your questions, comments, or statements read on the stream, you are more than welcome at any point to send in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, I will make sure to read your comment, your rant, your opinion. If you have a question about something, make sure to put it out there and I will make sure to read those as well. So I can tell today's going to be a crazy show. So bear with me, everybody. We'll get through this together. All right. So let's kick things off with our first super chat of the day, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into Tony Khan's announcement, MJF's speech. There's so much to get through here today, but we're going to kick things off with our first super chat of the day, and this is from Enrique Jr., who says, do you think it's fair that Tony not only stripped CM Punk, but the whole elite? I think he had no choice, and it seems like a fair decision. All right, so you kind of got us started with the biggest, meatiest question. So the show, we knew that today there had to be some sort of announcement made in terms of what was going to happen, right? After the brawl with the elite and CM Punk and everything that occurred after the media scrum, everybody was wondering, what are the punishments going to be? What are the repercussions going to be? Especially given that throughout the entire AEW CM Punk media scrum, Tony Khan, for the most part, was letting CM Punk say whatever he wanted and pretty much was just there, nodding along. And that was a big topic of conversation throughout this entire weekend. A lot of people saying that, there's something should have been done. Obviously, it should have never gotten to this point. So we knew that things were going to be, we knew there was going to be some sort of punishments, right? There's been all of these rumors about, whether or not CM Punk's going to get fired, if the elite is going to walk out. There's so many different rumors going about right now. What we do know right now is that everybody is suspended. That's what's been reported, that everybody is suspended. And as of right now, nothing else has came out in regards to, somebody being fired or anything like that, at least as of right now. So people were wondering what on earth is going to happen on AEW Dynamite. It was reported earlier today that there was going to be some sort of announcement. And Tony Khan basically tweeted out saying he was going to have an announcement about the Trios Championship and also the AEW World Championship. And so at that point, I think it was kind of a little crystal clear that there was going to be a change in both programs. I think for the most part, we all mainly expected it just for the AEW World Championship, but it seems like it definitely was for both. Now, Tony Khan basically made the announcement right at the top of AEW Dynamite where he said that not only was the AEW World Championship vacated, but also the Trios Championship was vacated as well. And personally, I know that everybody is picking sides, and for the most part, I feel like you can agree. Like, I feel like if you're picking sides, I feel for the most part, you could agree on several different points with both of the sides in terms of the arguments and what's been put out there. I know some people are completely, pissed off at CM Punk. There's a lot of people who definitely do not agree with anything that he said. You're finding people in different, with different thought processes on what actually happened and, what was said. So with that being said, at the end of the day, there was a brawl. There was this big, massive blowout, and Tony Khan decided to punish everybody involved. And personally, I think that stripping them all of the gold and the championships, the trios and the world champion, I feel like that is definitely what needed to be done. And I know a lot of people are upset that the Elite also got stripped of the trios titles, but I think at this point, Tony Khan needed to make a statement. He needed to do something. He needed to kind of, lay down the law and basically say, this is not going to fly. There's got to be some sort of punishment. There's got to be some sort of, repercussions. And at this point, everyone is looking at Tony Khan to see what he's going to do and how he's going to follow up with the actions that unfolded at AEW All Out. So to answer your question, did it seem like a fair decision? I think so. I think it was the right call to vacate all the champions that were involved in this, whatever you want to call it, melee, brawl, etc. We got a super chat here from Moscow 1980 who says, AEW needed a home run tonight. Mox was great. Matches and interviews could breathe, and we had simple storytelling in the main event. We need more of this. Given, obviously, Tony Khan knew that today's episode of AEW Dynamite was going to be one that a lot of people were going to tune in and watch. They knew he had to have known, obviously, that everybody was anticipating it. This was an episode where you're probably going to get more eyeballs than normal because people wanted to see what the announcement was going to be, what kind of shots were going to be thrown. On top of that, you have MJF. So there was just a lot of interest going into this episode. So I feel like they couldn't necessarily have like one poor segment. They couldn't have one bad thing on the show because this was a show that people were going to be watching. So you wanted to really put your best foot forward. And I kind of feel like they really did that. And obviously we'll break down each and every segment a little bit more in depth, but for overall, it was a very, very good show. Reggie Simmons sends in a super chat saying pro wrestling gonna be all right. I mean, everybody's talking about how if, the Elite and CM Punk don't somehow manage into making this into an angle that, they're leaving money on the table. And that is true, guys. Like, it is true. Let's be real. If we were to see CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, can you imagine like how huge that would be? Like, everybody would be invested in that. But obviously it's too soon to tell because we still don't know what repercussions are going to be done. And I know there's a lot of rumors and there's so many rumors that I've heard. And I'm just like, I don't really know what the future for CM Punk is going to look like in AEW with things, changing so fast, but we'll see. Pete Templar 101 sends in a super chat saying Paige versus Danielson was amazing. Dr. Sophia Bonilla DWO EVP says, what do you think of TK getting booed? I loved it. I was surprised by that, to be honest. I really, really was, because here's the thing, like, I know, trust me, guys, I get the criticisms. I really do. Like, it should have never gotten to this point. Like, CM Punk should not have been out there, airing this dirty laundry in front of everybody. Granted, I benefited from it, sorry. But overall, that should not have happened. We know this. But at the same time, I really do feel bad for Tony Khan. Like, I'm not even messing around. I felt bad for him being in that situation because at first it should have never gotten to that point. It should have never, CM Punk should have never felt like he could go out there and kind of, step all over Tony Khan. And I know people kind of feel that he did that because, Tony Khan was, in a situation where it's like, what do you really do? Do you say stop talking? Do you get into a quarrel right there in front of everybody? What the hell do you do? Now, I know everybody would have a different opinion on as to how to go about it, but in that moment, like, I legitimately did feel bad for Tony Khan. We got a super chat here from Crippleface Jenkins who said, Tony did exactly what he should have. This Dynamite was so important and it delivered. I need MJF versus Moxley. It definitely delivered, and it delivered in multiple ways, as somebody earlier on mentioned during this. We got a super chat here from Nick Grasso who says, after the embarrassment on Sunday, seems like the roster was fired up tonight, and Jon Moxley is the MVP. Glad the titles were stripped from everyone, but were Ace Steel and CM Punk punished? Well, they're going to have to do, and I know this was already reported earlier today, that they are going to be doing a third-party investigation. And right now, for the most part, from what I've seen on social media, for the most part, it's very like people are more so on the Elite side than they are on CM Punk's side. But obviously, guys, we're not the people that are deciding the punishments or anything like that. So really, the fact that they're doing this third-party investigation, whatever comes out of that is going to be very important, especially because if you've been seeing and reading the stories and the reports on the Elite side and CM Punk's side of how the altercation occurred after the show, two very different sides. You have, the Bucks and Kenny basically kind of giving more of we went in there trying to, diffuse the situation. You're trying to talk a little bit to CM Punk versus CM Punk's side is more of like they broke down the door, came in there, and it was multiple guys against one or two or whatever. So you do have two very different versions of the story. So this third party investigation, and they got to investigate more on this till we can really decide what the hell is going on. But I think we can all agree, though, that CM Punk basically going out there and putting this all out there was maybe not the best way to handle it. Like, you can't imagine, like, here's the thing. It's not like after what CM Punk did during the media scrum, like they were all going to hug it out and be like, yo, I see your point. Let's be friends. That was not going to happen. They were going to be upset. They were going to, I feel like CM Punk could have definitely expected some sort of backlash from them. And I think he even knew it, because he ended the media scrum with him saying, like, my door's always open. Let's fucking go. So that was basically him saying, like, let's go. We got a super chat here from Jakeinator722 who says it's something about AEW's fans' appreciation for the promotion that the crowd didn't try to hijack the show by chanting for suspended wrestlers. And I do want to, obviously they were reacting, especially when it came to Tony Khan and making those announcements. I could not believe the reception, the massive pop that I heard when Tony Khan basically said that the AEW World Championship had been vacated. Oh my God, it was just so crazy, because when you really think about how everything has gone down, we literally went from this moment where CM Punk came back to pro wrestling and holy shit, he's been gone for years. And, I was on this podcast, doing the reaction when he made his return to pro wrestling, when he made his AEW debut, and everybody was so freaking happy, was so freaking stoked and all of this. And then it went into, he finally becomes AEW World Champion. What an awesome moment. Let's see what his reign is going to be. Unfortunately, he gets injured, and that definitely sucked. So we got screwed out of seeing that first reign. But then, lo and behold, we end up going into this big, massive controversy. And now it feels like the tables have drastically turned, at least for a lot of people, when it comes to how they feel about CM Punk. And guys, this bumps me the hell out, because I'm a fan of everybody. I'm a fan of everybody in this freaking drama. Like, I'm a fan of the Elite. CM Punk's like my favorite goddamn wrestler. So I literally feel like, and I'm sure a lot of people kind of feel this way, where it's like, fuck, like, what the hell what do you do? Like, you want to root for these people, but at the same time, it's like, there's just so much freaking drama. But anyway, so it is hard to, separate your, your fandom versus what's going on and the situation. And it also bums me out too, not just because I'm a fan of everybody. Like, that's not the only reason why it bums me out, but it also bums me out because, and I know there's going to be like people that are, anti-AEW fans. I know that anti-AEW fans are not going to like this comment, but AEW is literally something special. They have done something very, very special in the wrestling business. They literally came in at a time where people were looking for other options. And, they made, I'm just going to say, they made pro wrestling feel fun again, especially for the time period. We needed something like AEW, and they came along, and, there's been such great stuff that has occurred in the company, etc. We've, been added lots of other new people to become, some of our favorites. So with that being said, it bums me out that it's gotten to this point because AEW is something special. And I feel like the people that are there, you want to see them really like thrive in this platform that they are, that they have right now. Like, I don't want to see that taken for granted. I don't know how else to say it. But thank you so much to Jake and Nader for sending in this super chat. We have another one from Magnum Wait who says, nothing really to comment. Twas a solid episode that left me satisfied. Just donating to support because I'm sure you've had a hectic weekend. Definitely, yes. After the scrum, guys. So I literally did not sleep after the scrum because I was like, this is literally my pay right here, guys. If I go to sleep and I don't get these videos up, I lose out on money, etc. So I posted that CM Punk video, and I'm so freaking proud of it because, long story short, I was running kind of a little bit behind to the media scrum because I had been moved up to a suite, and that was last minute, and so it took me longer to get to the media room. And usually, I always sit front and center. So when I got there, all the seats were taken already. And I was like, damn, my video's gonna suck. Literally, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I'm in a shitty ass seat, this and that. And then whatever, I thought, I'm just gonna roll with it. Whatever. And then lo and behold, it ended up being the best seat in the house. And I got some bomb ass audio. And for the most part, it was great. So I'm really happy because I'm really hoping that video hits 1 million views. I hate to say it, but I am benefiting in the drama. I feel guilty about it just a little bit. Thank you to Magnum Wait, though, for sending in the super chat as well. We have another one here from Juan Rodarte who says, no information on why titles were vacated is a weak move by Tony Khan. Taped message instead of going to the ring is classless move by Tony. See, I disagree with this. No, I disagree with this. And this is why I disagree with this. It's a show, guys. It's still a show. He's not going to come out there and be like, yo, so all this drama occurred under my watch because the locker room, imploded under my watch. He's not going to go out there and say or do anything like that. It would just be like, it would be too much. They still have to keep it in a way where it's like, it still has to be like, for the most part, I don't know what the word for this is, but like politically correct, okay? Like he just can't go out there and be like, well, there was all this drama and you guys read about it in the dirt sheets. He can't go out there and do that necessarily. So I feel like, you know what? This was fine. The way that it occurred, it was fine. Him going out and doing doing it in the crowd, I could have cared less whether he did it in the crowd or whether he did it in pre-taped. I actually think the pre-tape did feel like a little bit more like, I don't know how to say it, official maybe. I had absolutely no issue with the way that Tony executed this. I'm just going to say, give the guy a break. Give the guy just a little bit of a break after all the drama that has unfolded. But regardless, thank you so much to Juan Rodarte for getting his super chat in here as well. This has been like a nuts show. Roberto Arsenal sends in a super chat saying, MJF is right. He is better than Moses. I say give Bryan Danielson the belt. If the reports are true about Omega and the dog, then he came out looking good. So for those of you who don't know what Roberto's talking about here, on the the latest Fightful Select update regarding the backstage brawl, Sean did have another like little news bit, like an update in terms of like more of the details, more of the intricate details regarding the backstage brawl, and more of the side from Kenny Omega and the Bucks, versus prior more of the CM Punk side of the story was out, and this is more of the elite side of the story out. And basically one of the things that was mentioned in there was that Kenny Omega's part in all of this was that during the whole spectacle, Larry the dog was freaking out, and chances are that's true because you guys know dogs are gonna freak out, and in these types of situations for the most part. And so Larry the dog had this, was barking and this and that, whatever. He was scared. Kenny Omega noticed that and took him out, or tried to take him out. And during this, when this happened, that's when he got bit. And it was not by Larry the dog, though. We all know the rest of that story. And I do feel bad. Like, let's say let's say that Kenny Omega's only part in this brawl is that he tried to save the dog and got bit and got his hair pulled because of it. I do kind of feel like shit that he got suspended because of that. Because he just went in to save the dog. Oh, it's messed up. But obviously, there's got to be more to it if he was obviously suspended during this brawl. Thank you so much to Roberto. Christopher S. sends in a super chat saying, we have double attendance in the chat than just a month ago. That says it all. This heat may get hot, but it is good for business at the end of the day. It is good for business, and I'm not even going to lie to you guys. You can probably ask every podcaster out there, every person that does any sort of wrestling content creation, and I'm pretty sure they'll tell you that their numbers went up. You know, I was seeing so many people's numbers in terms of when they were talking about this situation, and everybody had exponentially bigger numbers. I myself know from the views that video got, like I said, it's about to hit 800,000 views on my channel. So obviously it is good for business. You know, controversy creates cash. The Pro Wrestling Podcast says, I'm pro CM Punk, but I gotta admit this episode with all the people who had the drama was solid. And yeah, you know, here's the thing. Like, I know there's so much shit like going around and a lot of people talking shit on CM Punk and this and that, but there are a lot of things that I too myself agree with in regards to CM Punk. But obviously I don't agree with everything, but I do agree with some parts. It's a hard situation, guys. I feel like I could see things from both sides of the argument. And, you know, it just really depends. We don't have the full story yet. We have to go with what we've heard so far, right? But given how much heat there is right now on CM Punk, man. And yes, this episode was a solid one. And one of the things that Tony Khan did credit, and this was even prior to the drama, but he did credit Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson a lot because they, stepped up when there was a lot of those injuries that were happening. And now they're stepping up again. During the meeting that happened earlier today, it was reported that they were Brian, John, and Jericho were three of the guys that were speaking during that meeting as well. So, you know, man, it's a tough one, guys. This is a mess. This is like, I don't even know how to explain it. All right, let me make sure I'm catching up here, and then I'm going to jump right into the show. We got another super chat here from Matt Corso, who says, I don't know about you and everyone else, but I miss Cody. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that to be your super chat. Dude, I love Cody. I'm a fan of Cody's, but I think his time was definitely up in AEW, guys. It was definitely up. There was a point where I feel like the AEW audience was like, almost not even like, man, let's not forget the last couple of months for Cody Rhodes in AEW. It wasn't necessarily that pretty. Amir Al-Karani sends in a super chat saying, if Punk is injured anyway, I hope Tony pays him while he's healing up. Hopefully a few months away will clear his head and Tony leaves it to him if he wants to come back and make amends or be like, go. That's one of the things that I was thinking about too, with the injury. This could be a way to like, be suspended, but also you're dealing with an injury. So this could be like maybe one of the best possible scenarios for CM Punk, because personally, guys, I'm still hoping we kind of see CM Punk in AEW because I still want to see shit work out, man. Like, sue me. I'm a fan. I still want to see, everybody that was involved in this stay with the company. And, I still want to see everybody involved. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a fan of everybody. Oh man, we got a super chat here from Jaconator722 who says, is it disheartening being a loyal Punk fan now? It sucks. It really sucks. But, you gotta, I don't even know anymore. Honestly, I've been racking my head about it. It's been, this whole story has been just like consuming, right? Delayed Grat sends in a super chat saying Tony Khan made a recorded statement and then spoke through MJF, Mox, and later Jericho. The right team won the trios title as well. And we will talk about that as well. Shout out to Sanjeev Ram for sending in a super sticker. That is much appreciated. Adrian Fitzsimmons sends in a message saying, does anyone else think that Tony Khan should have addressed the situation more? I feel like Mox and MJF did his job for him and I'm let down. Personally, he went out there to address the titles, guys. He went out there to address the titles. I don't think they were going to air any more dirty laundry in public. There's already so much out there that they definitely would not have preferred for that to be out. So, and given that Mox and MJF and Jericho had their moments where they kind of threw a little bit of shots, I feel like that was kind of what I was expecting. Like I was expecting to see some of the top guys, throw in some of their, 2 cents. But thank you so much to Adrian as well for sending in his thoughts. And shout out again to Sanjeet Ram for sending another super sticker as well. And let me just get caught up with the chat, guys, and then I'm going to go ahead and hop right into everything. Final accents in a super chat saying, what I love about AEW is that you're growing at the company as we take this ride with them. Tony is navigating his way through it all, and he's doing the best he can in a situation like this. Respect. Yeah, guys, this is one of the things that we were discussing. Seriously, put yourself in that situation, specifically the media scrum. When CM Punk started going off, what the hell would you have done if you were Tony Khan? What the hell? In that moment, like, what would you have done? I think at that point, you're just like, I don't know. It also depends on what kind of person you are, what kind of boss you are. And there was a moment too that, oh man, looking back in hindsight, I think that's also what kind of made me feel bad too. And this was interesting. Okay, sorry, there's just a lot because, I was at the media scrum, so I saw all of this happen. And there was a moment where I don't remember what the question was anymore, but it was during Tony Khan's portion of the media scrum. And he was talking about something. I don't even remember anymore, but he was talking about something. And Tony Khan basically was just like, I like to believe that I'm a nice guy and this and that. And I thought, oh my God, like, that sucks. Like it sucked to be in that situation, I think. And so, yeah, I do feel bad that all of this unfolded. Really, I truly do, because I do think that for the most part, Tony has good intentions, wants to make everybody happy. And then that also kind of lies in with the problem, right? A lot of people saying like, oh, he shouldn't be friends with everybody, blah, blah, blah. I get all of that. I really do. But I do think he was trying, to keep everybody happy, but you can't keep everyone happy. There was another thing that I was going to mention. Oh yeah. And that is that after CM Punk left, Tony didn't know that this was happening backstage. I don't think it was until Chris Jericho came in and actually told him like, hey dude, like shit's going down, backstage or whatever it was that Jericho said to him. But yeah, it didn't seem like he knew either. And even afterwards, like when it was just his portion of the scrum, PR was trying to get him to wrap up. They were trying to speed him up, and he wasn't like, he tends to talk for a long time. So he was definitely not rushing to get out of there until he eventually was rushed out. But thank you regardless to Final Act for sending that in. Sanjay Ram sends in his message saying, who's going to be champ? I want Darby, the real pillar that wants to be here. Everyone has their followers. And we'll talk about the bracket in just a second and break all of that down as well. Yuri Andila says, I'm a CM Punk fan since 2007, but I feel he should have handled it privately, in my opinion. Can't disagree with you, bro. Definitely cannot disagree with you. But I can't disagree with you. And Seth Levy says Moxley and MJF did awesome. I agree with you too, and we'll talk more in depth because there's a whole lot to talk about in regards to what MJF said as well. That guy C says the confusing thing for me is if Punk and the Elite are at odds, why is Kenny looking after Punk's dog? The whole situation sucks. Hope they can all sort it out. I think it's more so of like he's just, he's going to... Think about it, guys. Like you're in a situation where there's drama, and chances are if you're like a big animal lover and you see the dog in distress, you're probably going to do something about it. And if you know animal lovers, you know that they would probably do this, and that's Kenny Omega. If you're not an animal lover, then you might not see it, but I know animal lovers, and I know for a fact that there are people that would, even while all of this serious stuff is going on, would make sure to go and get the dog out of the way. But thank you so much to that guy, C, for sending in a super chat. All right, guys. So let's get into all of this, man. There's just so much here to talk about. All right. So we already talked about Tony Khan's announcement and basically that both titles were vacated, both the AEW World Trios Championship and the World Championship. But he also made a couple more announcements. And those announcements were that the new Trios champions would be crowned tonight. And then he also announced that there was going to be a tournament to decide the new AEW World Champion, with the finals of the tournament and the new champion essentially being crowned at Grand Slam. And the bracket that we have here right now is Hangman Page, Bryan Danielson, which we ended up seeing that match today. And Bryan Danielson did end up winning. So he's going to go on to face Chris Jericho in this. And then we also have Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. And whoever wins that match is going to go on to face Jon Moxley. Again, with the finals taking place at Grand Slam. In terms of like predictions for this, I kind of really want to see Bryan Danielson take it, honestly, because a part of me was thinking, maybe it should be Hangman Page. But honestly, looking at this, I really wanted to be Bryan Danielson. I think Bryan Danielson is the person that should win this entire tournament, and he should be the one to be the brand new champion. But either way, I think this was a great call for Tony Khan to do, and to do it in this way. All right, so those were the two announcements that were made at the top. Let's get into the MJF promo, because holy moly, there was so much that we have to talk about in regards to MJF. Who the hell would have imagined? Keep in mind, MJF was literally the biggest story at Double or Nothing. Everybody was talking about freaking MJF and Wardlow, mainly MJF, because nobody knew. Did he get on the plane? Did he not get on the plane? Is it a work? Is it not a work? You name it, it was freaking going down. I remember being at GCW that weekend, and everybody kept stopping me, and they were like, what's going on with MJF Wardlow? Is it a work? Is it not a work? This is what I think. Everybody was talking about it. And then it's kind of ironic that, you know, the backstage drama with MJF ended up sort of overshadowing a lot of things at Double or Nothing. And then came All Out. He made his big, gigantic return, got a major, massive pop. And then the drama with the Elite and CM Punk ended up overshadowing his big return. Now, with today's promo that he cut, I feel like he did manage to get a lot more attention and not be so forgotten about in the midst of this whole story. Obviously, people are still going to want to talk more about the Elite and CM Punk, but MJF cut a hell of a promo here, everybody. So he came off first, and he came in here kind of like a big baby face. And I started thinking back to Chris Jericho's media scrum, where he said that, you know, MJF was going to be a baby face, whether he wanted to or not, and fooled me, man. Totally fooled me. MJF went in there and was like all acting like everything was okay. He was like, I'm going to be here in AEW forever. I'm going to, he starts talking about, how, getting the chip, how he's going to be the champion. He starts saying how he's gotten a buttload of money from Tony Khan. Literally went off about all of that. He then said, this company's not in dark times. I'm going to lead AEW to the promised land. He starts saying how he's better than Moses and all of this stuff. And the crowd was eating out of the palm of his hands, okay? Like, they were loving this quote unquote air quotations babyface MJF. And then Moxley comes out, and this is where MJF goes full on heel and goes back to the MJF that we all know. And I was going to say all know and love, but So he brings up the bidding war of 2024. We've been hearing about this bidding war for quite some time now. We're all wondering, will MJF ever go to WWE? After the whole drama that unfolded, there was a lot of people that thought that he might even show up there. Who the hell knows? There was all sorts of theories. So he ends up mentioning a lot of stuff that I didn't think he was going to mention. But then again, think back to that promo that he did in Los Angeles. I was there, bro. That shit was crazy. He basically went off, called Tony Khan a mark. He basically called out Tony Khan, saying that if he would have came to AEW from WWE, that he would have made all sorts of money, right? And he was saying how he's a bigger star than all of these other ex-WWE guys. And you guys know everything else that he said. He ends up storming out. CM Punk comes after him. This wasn't shown on TV. This was on commercial break. And MJF gets the hell out of there, right? And that was the last time we saw MJF. So it's like, how do you top that? How do you top that promo? He didn't top that promo, obviously, because that was just an entirely different situation, but he did have some interesting things to say here today. So, quote, I'm going to read this verbatim so I don't mess it up. MJF said, quote, maybe I take that title to a real wrestling company with real fans and real wrestlers like my friend and hero, Cody Rhodes. Maybe I get to work for a real boss, the only con in professional wrestling that's worth a damn. Jolly old Saint Nick. Obviously, talking about Nick Khan. Furthermore, he continues on by saying, to quote the greatest wrestler of all time and my personal hero, The Game, that's what's best for business. So not only, does he mention WWE, he mentions Cody Rhodes, he mentions Nick Khan, he puts the cons up against each other, he mentions Triple H. I mean, this was nuts. Like the fact that he was just hitting them all, I was living for this, everybody. I was legitimately living for all of this. And just when I thought that things weren't going to get any better, they did. And this was Jon Moxley essentially cutting a promo. And Jon Moxley really did, I think, what was needed, because right now there is a lot of negative publicity out there for AEW. Not only do you have this drama, but you also have, Malachi Black asking for his release, that apparently being granted. There's just a lot of, negative light right now on AEW. So Jon Moxley came out here and he cut a promo that I think the company really needed. And he basically put over what AEW meant to him. He joked that he was supposed to be on vacation. And that's something that I had heard too, was that, he was supposed to be taking some time off after All Out. But given that, certain people are out of the picture, they're going to need big stars. So Jon Moxley is stepping in. And he basically says, he's going to be champion again. He starts talking about what the title represents, how the title represents his passion and his love for pro wrestling, how it represents, and he says that he's not going to let it die. And he says it's going to represent slaying demons and everything that he loves about this business. So he really cut this passionate promo, and I think he did a hell of a job. So I had nothing but mad respect there for MJF for going in there. For Jon Moxley to go in there and cut this promo that I think AEW very much needed in dark times like this. But let's get your thoughts in here. We got lots of super chats. I want to get these in here as well. We got Seth Levy who says, why were Bucks and Daniel suspended? Don't understand that, because they were part of the melee. They were part of all of that. Same thing. Well, and then you got to understand, like, there's different stories going around. And then, Daniels was also a part of that, as well as Pat Buck, Michael Nakazawa, and also Brandon Cutler. So we got different versions of the story going around, but if they were suspended, it was clearly for a specific reason. Cody Anderson sends in a super chat saying, I feel sorry for AJ Awesome. He's a kid and had front row seats for watching all of that, and nothing else. Punk needs to apologize to him personally. If anything, I think AJ Awesome maybe even became a bigger pro wrestling fan. You never know. No, he was happy after the show. He was chilling. He was there with his mom. He's a kid. He was just having a good time. Shout out to AJ Awesome, just a kid, Same thing to Izzy, guys, and she did a hell of a job at that scrum as well. She always does. She shows up. She has a good time as well, and obviously they're the young ones there. But yeah, so there you go. Thank you so much to Cody Anderson for also sending in this super chat as well. We have another one from Launchpad who says, if Punk gets fired, then his last night he won the title in his hometown, ate cupcakes while telling media his bosses are dumb, then knocked one out while his bestie bit another. Kind of legendary, not gonna lie. It's so wild too, man. I've been thinking a lot about, obviously when it was reported today that there was going to be obviously something happening with the AEW World Championship, that he wasn't going to be AEW World Champion. And we pretty much all assumed this was going to happen. But when the official announcement was like really put out there, it was like everybody was putting out how they felt that CM Punk's reign in AEW as World Champion was cursed. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I low-key believe in all this type of stuff. Like, I low-key believe in curses and brujeria and all of that stuff. But it really is crazy when you think about the fact that we had this moment, he became champion, and so quickly there got injured, was taken out, came back, won the title, the drama happened, got injured again. It's like the run that we thought that we were going to see for CM Punk. I know it was the run that I hoped that I saw. It's sad, but I don't feel like it's going to happen. I mean, obviously, that's just right now. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they could make amends. Maybe they could, I don't even know anymore. They could, make this into an angle. They could make some money out of it. But it is kind of crazy, though, that we're never going to, at least right now, it doesn't look like we're going to see that CM Punk AEW World Championship run that a lot of us thought was actually going to happen. Also, Mindy's Bakery, damn, they are seriously like, they got put down in like wrestling history. If you're gonna, in a couple of years from now, if you ask somebody about Mindy's Bakery and they lived through this, everyone's gonna know what you're talking about. If you go to Chicago and you see Mindy's Bakery, you're gonna be like, hell yeah. Like, this to me feels like I don't know, if I was going to make a list of places that wrestling fans should go to, I'd add Mindy's Bakery to that list because it became infamous. Darth Steven C77 sends in a super chat saying, just now checking up on Dynamite and now trying to watch that and watch the stream at the same time. I just finished the MJF promo. Justin Martin sends in a super chat saying Moxley and MJF were both had amazing promos in character. Mox as a warrior and locker room leader. MJF as a selfish, arrogant a-hole. Both were perfect. Yeah, they really, obviously they both stepped up and did what they needed to do respectively. And also for Moxley. And it was crazy too because when I was for the media scrum, when Jericho went out there and, he did his portion, I remember thinking, like, during all of this, thinking, man, like, Jericho really, to me, is the guy that should, he feels to me like the guy that has enough respect in the locker room, a lot of respect in the locker room, that could kind of, be that person to, try to calm down these people, try to be like a mediator of some sort where he can, when guys are having their drama, he could be that guy that, calms them down, helps them look at the bigger picture. To me, he feels like perfect for that position. Yeah, Brandon Rosen sends in a super chat saying it's obvious Moxley is winning the tournament. They set up the match with his confrontation with MJF at the top of the show. I was thinking that would be the obvious choice, but I don't know if they want to do obvious. Would you want to do obvious? I feel like, personally, I feel like I would take this. I would take this and do something different. I would switch things up completely and do something that hasn't been done yet and have Bryan Danielson actually win, the title. Because I feel like, I love Moxley and he's freaking stepping up like crazy. And after that awesome promo and, the confrontation and all of that, I just kind of feel like I feel like they should take this as an opportunity to maybe do something that we haven't seen before. But either way, if Moxley were to win the title again, that's perfectly fine. Andrew Cook sends in a super chat saying, so happy Darby's in this tournament. He deserves it. Yeah, he definitely does. Obviously, he's done a hell of a lot in AEW. Roberto sends in a super chat saying, too bad Punk is drug-free. Weed would have calmed him down. Oh, man. Justin Martin says, Moxley and MJF both had amazing promos in character. Mox is a warrior and locker room leader. MJF, I already read this one. I'm sorry. We got another one from Javi Chavez, excuse me. He says, best way for TK to come back, highlight the heart and soul of AEW, Max, Hangman, Jericho, Bryan, MJF, leading Darby promo, best promo yet from Jungle Boy, banger matches from Best Friends, DT, Garcia, and Yuta. So we'll talk about this too, because I feel like the main event, and I will get into that, is that it kind of felt a little poetic, and I'll explain it more later, but it felt poetic in the sense that you had two of the young up-and-coming rising stars that are going to be big stars in AEW, in the time to come. They're getting started right now. They're getting going. It felt a little poetic to kind of have them main event the show. And then also the way that things closed out with Bryan Danielson being the one to put the belt around the waist of Daniel Garcia. Like, that to me kind of felt a little poetic, especially on a show like this. Maybe I read into it too much, but that's kind of how I felt. Regardless, thank you so much to Javi Chavez for sending in that super chat. LJ Mickey says MJF will one day be a great babyface. Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm definitely sure. And yeah, that was something that Jericho said as well during the scrum. I think it was to my question too, so I'm very proud of that. All right. Sanjay Ram says Darby is his pick for the tournament. All right, so Gerard General Kenobi sends in a super chat saying Mox being a 3-time champ is such a short period would be kind of, in such a short period would be kind of stale. Bryan Danielson would be a great champ. Yeah, that's what I agree. Like, I'm not saying that, like, I wouldn't love to see Jon Moxley as champion, but I kind of feel like, given everything that went down, I would say maybe go a different route just to, really switch things up. That's personally how I feel about that. All right, so let's get into the first match of the night, which was Best Friends and Orange Cassidy versus Death Triangle. And this was obviously something that was not known. This was announced by Tony Khan when he said that we were going to be crowning new trios champions. And it's crazy, man, because obviously this ties in a little bit into the Malachi Black news, that Malachi Black is, reportedly granted his release from AEW, obviously with conditions. But man, if you were here on these past shows, you guys knew that House of Black was my pick, aside from the Elite, to actually win the Trios tournament. And I was so shocked when they were eliminated. And now maybe we know why. But it's crazy because I think to myself, man, if Malachi Black was still here and, we could have seen the House of Black in this opportunity, the House of Black could have, gotten the Trios championships here. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so we ended up having Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, and Death Triangle. And I kind of thought, man, how freaking cool would it be if Death Triangle won this? But I thought, you know what? I feel that Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, to me, scream AEW just a little bit more. So I kind of thought, okay, I think they're going to go with Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. I kind of felt like that was the direction they were going to go in. This match was fun. It was exactly what you wanted. There was some great moments, Chuck Taylor hitting a dive off the stage onto everybody. There was an moment outside of the rings where Alex Abrahantes and Danhausen got into it. Danhausen tried to curse him, and then he got in his face. It didn't work, so then Danhausen hits him in the dong, and that was really funny. Afterwards, we saw Pac kick Danhausen right in the face, and then ate a crossbody from Orange Cassidy. Cassidy hits his tornado DDT, ends up getting a 2 count. All 6 men go at it, hitting their big moves, etc. Afterwards, Penta hits the Made in Japan. We see the Death Triangle do this, the triple stereo Canadian Destroyer onto Best Friends, and then finally we end up seeing the Black Arrow onto Chuck Taylor. And so Death Triangle ends up winning. And now the Death Triangle are officially your brand new trios champions. And you got Pac there with double gold, man. Honestly, I really, even though my pick for this was Death Triangle, I legitimately thought they were going to go the other direction. So I was surprised when the Death Triangle won. But I'm so freaking excited because they're going to have so many banger matches. And honestly, it's fine. It's good. Man, I can't believe it. I was thinking too how like so much that happened at All Out is like kind of being like undone or redone. Not only the Trios Championship, the World Championship, but also the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory, which we'll talk about later on. We got a super chat here from the guy C, who says, fair point, loved Moxley's promo after the scrum. I feel it was definitely needed. I feel Keith Lee could have been put in the tournament and built a split. I would say like, no, only because he's doing his thing right now with Swerve in Our Glory, so he didn't really need to be part of the tournament. That's the only reason why I would say no. But thank you so much, regardless, to the guy C for sending in that super chat as well. And let me just make sure I'm all cut up here. This is from Javi Chavez, who says, would have loved Best Friends winning, but would have hated Death Triangle losing. So 50-50 for me, happy. Yeah, I think, honestly, I feel like, both teams bring something different. Both teams are incredibly different personas. Either one would have been perfectly fine. I feel like this one wouldn't have made a difference, mainly just because they're both fan favorites. But regardless, thank you so much to Javi Chavez for sending in this super chat. Alrighty, guys, let's get into Penelope Ford versus Toni Storm. And obviously, Toni Storm is your new AEW Women's Interim World Champion. Obviously, Thunder Rosa is still our champion. But let's get into this. This one was honestly just a very quick match. Honestly, it was just a way for Toni Storm to get a win and be on TV after winning the championship, the interim championship, excuse me. She does multiple shoulder tackles onto Penelope Ford. Penelope Ford ends up escaping the hip attack, but then finds herself getting boots to the face from Toni Storm onto the outside. After the commercial break, Toni Storm eventually gets her with the hip attack, and she ends up getting the win. So there's not really much else to say about that. Let's get into a segment that garnered massive amounts of heat, okay? Massive amounts of heat. So, with all the drama going around, everybody was like, oh, I can't wait to see what Max Caster's gonna say, and he's gonna have some bomb-ass lines and this and that. This is gonna be a wrap for the ages. A lot of us, including myself, were really looking forward to seeing Max Caster just, mention something, a little something for us to, I don't know, just be like, oh, damn, But the Acclaimed music hits. And just when you hear Anthony Bowen start with the listen, and then before Max Caster can even begin with his rap, Swerve Strickland's music plays, and he interrupts the rap, and he tells them that they're a joke. He gets massive heat, man. Massive. The whole building is chanting asshole at him. It's great heat. It was a very creative way for them to get out of Max Caster, doing the rap and, making a joke of what happened. Because everybody was going to be expecting it. And if he didn't say anything about it, people would have been like, oh, lame. Like, he didn't say anything about it. That's, lame, right? So they did protect Max Caster and also protected themselves by not having him go out there and do the rap. And they did so in a way that ended up benefiting Swerve by getting large amounts of heat. But regardless of all of that, a lot of us, including myself, were extremely disappointed because we wanted to hear what Max Caster was going to say. And you knew if he would have done a rap, it would have been really freaking good. Billy ends up telling Swerve that it's not their house anymore, that it's Daddy Ass's house. And then there's a moment, and I don't know if I'm hearing wrong or what, but when Anthony Bowen starts promoting the Arthur Ashe Grand Slam show, I don't know if he said Arthur Ashe or if he said Arthur Ass. I don't know why. I don't know if he said it or if he didn't say it, or I'm just hearing things. So I needed to have that clarified. But regardless, we are going to be getting the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory at Grand Slam. And here's the thing, guys. I was sitting in that building for All Out, and originally heading into the show, I thought, Swerve in Our Glory has to win, because I really do feel if they, would have taken the belts off of them, it would have halted some of their, it would have put the brakes on what they're doing right now, right? Like, there's still so much more to see with Swerve in Our Glory. However, the second this match started and I heard the crowd go absolutely nuts for the Acclaimed, and the way that they were going nuts anytime they thought that they were going to win the match and any of those near falls, I was like, dude, they gotta have the Acclaimed win this match. Like, you do not have the Acclaimed win this match after this crowd reaction. And I thought, okay, the Acclaimed are gonna win. They gotta win. They gotta win. And then they did it. And it was massive disappointment. It killed the crowd for a good amount of time. I don't think the crowd came back legitimately until the main event. It wasn't until the main event that All Out crowd came back from the disappointment ending that happened at during this Acclaimed Swerve in Our Glory match. So either way, like, I think immediately after they lost, a lot of people had the prediction that this match was going to happen at Grand Slam. Tony Khan basically did like a little bit with Swerve in Our Glory during the media scrum. So they pretty much alluded that this was going to be happening. So this was very much expected. And now it's just officially happening at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. We have a super chat here from Jose Vera. Thank you so much to Jose, who says, do you know what the conditions of Malachi's release are? No, I don't know, but I know that he was supposed to be part of an indie show. I think the date was September 9th, if I'm correct, but it was supposed to be this month. I don't know if it was September 9th or September 19th. I forget, but I know he was supposed to be part of an indie show, and he's not going to be part of that indie show anymore. So I do not know what those conditions are for Malachi's release. But regardless, thank you so much, Jose Vera, for sending this in. And we got another one from Julian Mongeras. Thank you so much to Julian, who says, do you listen to Jim Cornette? He predicted this. I actually don't listen to Jim Cornette, but I actually did listen to a show though this week. Though I did listen to the show this week, and I heard my shout out too for the audio. And I saw it because a bunch of people were tagging me in it. But no, I didn't see that he predicted this though. But regardless, thank you so much to Julian for informing me as well. And alrighty, so now let's get into a backstage segment that not only featured a little bit of a spoiler for something that was going to happen later on, but also featured a shot at CM Punk. And that was Jericho addressing the AEW Galaxy. And by the way, when I saw that Jericho's calling the AEW fandom world the AEW Galaxy now, I nearly died. I nearly started rolling on the floor. Okay. This, it killed me. Okay. Because obviously it's a rib from, the WWE universe. We already know that. So anyway, so he comes out there. He's with Sammy and Ty and Anna and Tony Schiavone. They're doing this backstage promo, whatever. So he accidentally spoiled the results to Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page. Okay. He said, quote, "And that's another reason why I'm going to beat Bryan Danielson again next week on Dynamite. And I'm going to go on to Grand Slam and become the world champion for the 8th time." So sadly, there was a little bit of a spoiler there. I think that this was a pre-tape, and I'm thinking they just aired it at the wrong time because that ended up spoiling that match. And so everybody kind of knew that Bryan Danielson was going to win at that point. But now, let's talk about the shot that he threw at CM Punk. So CM Punk in his media scrum said something along the lines of, this being, he's trying to run a business and this and that. And he alluded to, him trying to run a business here and his company with AEW. And that ended up being a huge topic of conversation amongst people. So Jericho had a moment where he said, quote, "It's my championship. AEW is my company, and this is my effing locker room, and no one is taking that away from me ever." So that was a shot to CM Punk, clearly. At least that's the way that I took it, and a lot of people took it that way as well. So there you go. Maybe if you wanted Jericho's opinion on things, that kind of looks to be a little bit of an opinion there for sure. We got a super chat here from Darth Steven 777 who says, "Chris addressing the AEW Galaxy, still laughing. I'm dying. I hope they make I don't know if they have already, but I really hope they make an AEW Galaxy t-shirt. I'm going to be a mark and I'm going to buy it." Actually, no, I don't buy anything anymore. What I do is because I have the All Elite crate, I wait and see what I get in my crate, and that's what I end up wearing. I've worn this Britt Baker shirt like 1,000 times because it came in my crate. I'm already paying for the crate. I don't want to pay for anything else. All right, guys, I need to save money. Thank you so much to Darth Steven 777. We got we got to go into our next match, and this is Wardlow versus Toni Nese for the TNT Championship. Now, there's things to talk about here. First and foremost, the match itself. It was every Wardlow squash match that we've been seeing. Okay, you already know what match that was. Powerbomb Symphony. And gets the win. He tries to get Sterling with a power bomb, but instead Josh Woods comes in and saves Sterling. Okay, whatever. After this, Wardlow ends up addressing the internet. And he says that he sees what the internet is saying, that he's lost momentum, that, things aren't going great for him anymore. And he says it's now time to remind everybody that this is Wardlow's world. And he's really pissed off during this. And honestly, I feel bad for him because I'm that person that kind of feels like Wardlow's momentum has been drastically slowed down ever since the way that things went down after the MJF thing. So I feel bad, but it is kind of true. I love Wardlow. I do, but I think I'm a little bit over the squashes already, and I really do hope he gets some of that momentum back that he had, because when at Double or Nothing, when the whole thing happened with MJF and all of that, that Wardlow pop, man, it was huge. the crowd was totally and completely on Wardlow's side because they felt like not only were they big fans of Wardlow, I mean, still are, right? Like people are still big fans of Wardlow. Like Wardlow's not liked. Like the guy is liked, okay? People are wanting to like get hot for Wardlow again the way that they were just a couple months ago. But the MJF thing kind of ended up, not I'm gonna say, actually, it's the stuff that happened afterwards, after the match, after Wardlow got his win. It was more so that it took too long for him to become TNT champion. Like that little wait, it took too long. And I feel like that is what kind of, slowed the momentum down a little bit for Wardlow. He can get it back, but definitely what happened to Double or Nothing, that was like the hottest he'd been at that point. So it did kind of feel like that went down a little bit. I definitely don't want to continue just seeing the squash matches. I hope to see a little bit more to Wardlow. So anyways, I feel bad for him because he went out there and he was addressing this and that, and then he was really mad about it. But let's see what happens now, because I do want to see Wardlow succeed. Because man, dude is a beast, man. He's a beast. We got Bryan Danielson and Hangman 3. This is a really great match, guys. They exchange hard chops in the middle of the ring. Really, really love that. We see Hangman hitting an elevated sit-down power bomb, goes for the pin. It ends up being a 2 count. We end up seeing Bryan Danielson hit his hammer and anvil elbows, which he normally does as well. It does the suplex off the top rope. Hangman does a backflip during this, hits the lariat. Danielson gets the lapel lock in on him. I absolutely loved the finish too. The finish I loved. So Hangman goes in for the buckshot lariat, and instead, Bryan turns it around into the O'Connor roll with a bridge and ends up getting the pinfall there and wins this match. So it was a good match. I wouldn't say that it was like, I feel like their other matches were a little bit more memorable, but regardless, this was still a really good match, and Bryan won, so he advances to the tournament, which was kind of already known because we got the spoiler from earlier today. All right, we got a couple more items to talk about before we move on to those. If you have enjoyed this AEW Dynamite post show, a heads up, guys, I'm here every single week. Tuesdays, I'm here to talk about NXT 2.0. If you're one of those people that still care and want to talk about NXT 2.0, you can come here and chat with me on Tuesdays. We got a little family going on there on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is the craziest show because you never know what's going to happen on Dynamite. Things are always nuts. Obviously, this Dynamite was an exception since it was like literally the most anticipated Dynamite in a very long time. And then on Fridays, I'm here to talk SmackDown and Rampage. And usually that tends to be like a newsy day. So those are always a good time to come in. And if it's not a newsy day, it's Fridays. It's a chill day. You can come in there as well, too. So that's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm here on F4W online doing these post shows. So if you did have a good time, please let people know. That always really helps me out if people spread the word about my show. It just gets people to come in and actually watch. So anyways, last but not least, we still got a couple more items to talk about. We got a Jungle Boy pre-taped promo where he said he's far from done with Christian Cage. Once Christian Cage is back from surgery, that he's going to take years off of Christian's life, and basically says that his next target is Luchasaurus, who has been an anchor around his feet for the last 3 years. And that was it. Fiery promo from Jungle Boy. Good stuff there. Excited to see what he does with Luchasaurus. That was obviously expected given what Luchasaurus did to him at All Out. So this was perfectly fine and a good way to incorporate him into the show. So let's get into the matches that have been announced for the next coming shows. AEW Rampage. We got Claudio Castagnoli versus Dax Harwood for the ROH World Championship. That's going to be freaking awesome. That's going to be happening this Friday. We also got Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara for the actual part of the tournament. That's going to be really good. On Dynamite, we have Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho, again, part of the tournament. And Jon Moxley is going to be facing either Darby Allin or Sammy Guevara, again, as part of the tournament. Then AEW Dynamite Grand Slam matches that have been announced for the 21st. So far, it's going to be the finals of the tournament to crown the new AEW World Champion. And also the AEW World Tag Team titles with Swerve and Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. So that's going to be taking place for that show as well. Now on to our main event. Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia for the ROH Pure Championship. I mentioned earlier, but this match kind of felt a little poetic to me. And the reason that it did was because it was like a match with two guys that are going to be the future of AEW. And it kind of felt like, I don't know, just like nice, nice to kind of see them have this, have the main event spot on such a big show. I loved the slap exchange between both guys. I love when they had those submission attempts. I loved when Garcia finally got in the Dragon Tamer. That was really great too. Really good stuff. Daniel Garcia winning by submission, getting the victory, and confetti everywhere, all of that good stuff. Bryan Danielson comes out, puts the belt around his waist, a really nice, respectable, like really big moment, especially with the whole you're a wrestler, you're a sports entertainment thing that's been going on with him. I feel like Daniels really earned this moment. So that was really awesome. Jericho comes out afterwards and he's pissed off. He's looking like, what the hell? He has like this really funny face that I screenshotted and made into a meme. But this was good stuff, guys. This was really, really good stuff. It felt symbolic just having Daniel Bryan like wrap the belt around his waist. It was awesome. I don't know what else to say. Congratulations, Daniel Garcia. I'm excited to see what he does as ROH Pure Champion. And I've been loving the story around it, man. I really, really have been loving the story around it. Alrighty, everyone. That was AEW Dynamite, September 7th. I really want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please tweet me. Let me know what you guys thought of the show. Let me know what your reactions to AEW Dynamite were. If you haven't already, please make sure to follow me on Twitter. I just surpassed 80,000 followers. I work really, really hard on that account. I'm always trying to come up with new ways to engage with people and, just really have like a good, I don't know how to say, like a good community when it comes to like talking about pro wrestling in a fun way. That's how I love to present pro wrestling in a fun way. And that's how I love to talk about it. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, that's @_ Denise Salcedo. And then youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. That's the place to be. That's the place to watch all of the scrums, the CM Punk one, the Jericho one, Swerve in Our Glory, Toni Storm, Tony Khan, you name it. They are up there. I also have past ones as well if you want to watch those too, and recent interviews with Time Mello. You want to check that one out. And given the news with Malachi Black, I also have an interview with Malachi Black there that was also recently done, and just a bunch of other stuff. So please make sure to head on over to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo, Twitter and Instagram @_ Denise Salcedo. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys here once again. I'll see you back here on Friday for SmackDown and Rampage. Bye, everyone.